So in my Chrome browser here, I have this puzzle piece icon up by my personal, Tony Newsbar here. So if I click on that puzzle, I get several extensions here. So this is where I can go in. If I manage extensions on my own browser, I have Ad Blocker and WebEx and Google Docs, Grid View, Grammarly, etc., etc. However, for a student, I have a snapshot here. If they go into it, so they're pretty limited on how many extensions they have. So right now we've locked down extensions so students cannot install an extension. So they can't install Grammarly, they can't install Grid View, anything like that. We can push those out to them. If you, as a teacher, want your students to have that, just let us know and we can push out the extension automatically, and it'll show up in this list here for them. But for GoGuardian, we have two extensions. So one is the license down here at the bottom, and then the other one is the actual GoGuardian monitoring software. And what happens is when they go into this list, this will turn green and it indicates that they're currently being monitored. So that's how they can know. And that is really it for the monitoring piece on what they'll see on their end. So to get into GoGuardian, it's as simple as going to GoGuardian.com. I did send out an email last night. It's kind of a teacher guide for GoGuardian. I'm going to use that as my template as well, and just kind of run through all that so we make sure we cover everything. It shouldn't be too long. So, but once we're to the GoGuardian page, all we do is simply click on Sign In. We're going to log in with our Google account. Pick one of my many accounts here. Now my view from this point on will look a little bit different, but I'll switch over to teacher mode once I get in here. All right, finally in here. So I have this test class here that I kind of set up for today's demonstration, in which my students will be my assistants down in the tech office. They're going to be students for us, and we can kind of mess with them here for a little bit. But the first thing you need to do, though, is get your classes out of PowerSchool and into GoGuardian. And it's as simple as clicking the Import Google Classroom here. Now mine's going to look a little bit different because I don't have any classes. I'm not a teacher. But you should see a list of all the available classes that you teach for this trimester. So you would just select those, import them, and then you should see them all populated here. So each one should be broken down into its own little square, essentially. So make sure I'm not missing anything here. So like one of the first things that may pop up is, hey, I've got a parapro in my room. They can help out monitoring students, or maybe you have a co-teacher or something like that. You can add teachers and helpers, or co-teachers and helpers, essentially. So we go to settings here and add co-teacher. And then over here, we're going to add a teacher. So I'm going to pick on Nick Getzinger again because he was my guinea pig last time. So there he is. So you have a role you can pick here. So on page 6, down at the bottom, it kind of delineates what each of the roles can do. So there's 3 roles: owner, teacher, and helper. Owner is you own the class. You can do anything with it. You can add, remove students, add co-teachers, remove all that good stuff. As a teacher role, they pretty much have the same rights as you, but they can't add other co-teachers, and they can't edit any of the classroom information. But for a parapro or someone who's just going to monitor the class and kind of help out, helper is probably all they need. It gives them the ability to view the sessions, end sessions, send commands, chat, and apply scenes. And we'll get into that later on. So probably the helper is all that the parapros need. There is one caveat, though. In order for the parapro to be added, we, the tech department, need to know we need to add them. Otherwise, they won't be available to pick out of this list up at here where it says teacher. So I think we have a couple parapros in there right now. But if you're searching for them and you're not finding them, just let us know and we can add them, and then it'll populate here for you. And again, if any of this, if I'm going too fast or you have any questions, go ahead and just holler, because I can't see your faces because of my presentation mode here. Okay.
And Tony, you're reading directly from the document you sent to them, correct?
I'm kind of glancing over it, but yeah, that's all on page 6. Yep.
Yeah, so when he's referencing page numbers, that's in reference to the document that he had sent out to you. So you'd
Yep,
have kind of a guide at a glance, and then he's kind of talking you through some of those pieces.
exactly. Yep. So also on to page 7, you have the ability to archive classes. So again, here in settings. So let's say it's the end of trimester 1 or semester 1, and I want to get this class out of my classroom so it's not mixed up with all of our other stuff, kind of like Google Classroom does. You can archive the classroom. I would not delete it. If you delete it, you can't get it back. So if you archive it, though, you can always retrieve that class and bring it back into your normal view here. So I would just archive them. That way you have it available if you need it. Okay. All right, so I'm moving down to page 8, which is how to start a new session. Okay. So here's my class. This is my Tony's Test English class. I have chat turned off by default, and when you do a chat, it's just between the student and the teacher. They can't chat amongst other classmates. Okay. This class is going to have a duration of 45 minutes. I could put a custom time in if I wanted to end it at a specific time or earlier or later. And we'll get into some of the intricacies of you don't want to overlap another teacher's session because then you're fighting each other. So we'll talk about that in a little bit here too. But we're going to leave this at 45 minutes. Start the class. Okay, it takes about 15 seconds or so for the first screens to update. And I think everyone but John is going to be out because he missed the first session. Oh, Brandon is there. Oh, and he's looking at cute puppies. Isn't that nice? So, but we can see that Carl, Denise, and Lynn are offline. And what I can do here, I'm kind of skipping ahead just a little bit, but I can, if I so choose, let me get this out of my way down here, I can highlight Carl, Denise, and Lynn, and I can exclude them from this session. So I won't be able to monitor them, and it doesn't do any reporting for those particular students. If I left it on, it's not a huge deal. It's just if I'm looking at reports later on, they're going to be intermixed in with that data. So not a huge deal. But we'll leave them excluded for the time being. So some of the things we can do is open tabs. So I can do that on an individual student basis, or I can do it for the entire classroom at once if I so choose. So at first I'll just do it for the whole classroom. So I just pick the checkbox here. I type in open new tab. Let's go to www.tesla.com because we know Brandon likes Teslas. And it takes them to tesla.com. So they have a new tab there, right? If we drill down into this, into Brandon, I can see Brandon also has 9 to 5 Mac open. His Mac Rumors is open. 9 to 5 Toys, Cute Puppies. So he has all these tabs open. So I could choose, if I so chose, I can close one of these tabs. So let's close the Tesla one. So we close that, and we'll close the Cute Puppies. And it kind of gets Mr. Brandon back on task here. It may take it a second for that to update, or maybe he had more than one Puppies tab open. John, we can take a look at him. He doesn't have any additional tabs. Okay, and he probably closed the Tesla one that I already opened because that's the way John is. he's a hooligan, right? So we open tabs, we've closed tabs, and again, these update about every 10 seconds, these screenshots, these thumbnails. So it kind of gives you a real-time view, but it's not true real-time. But if I actually drill down into it, now I'm really seeing what John's seeing, and it updates more often. Okay. If I could also chat with John here, say, hey John, how are you? And what happens is John gets this little chat icon down here. And he's there. So happy. So a way to chat back and forth. I can also do an announcement for the entire class if I so choose. I can select everybody by hitting this checkbox again. I can go into the chat, and up here at the top right is this bullhorn. So I could say good afternoon, and this would go to all my students. So we should see it pop up on their screen here in a second. So it showed up there. It's kind of hard to see on that one. I don't know if Brandon closed it already or not. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if Brandon got it or not. Did you get it, Brandon? He can't really talk to me because of oh, there it is. So he closed it.
I did not get that.
You did not get it. Let's try it again. So let's do that. Oh, your chat's off. See that?
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't turn chat on for Brandon. So I could turn chat on or off for the entire class here. So now I have chat on for the whole class. If you noticed before, he had that line that was going through there. So now I should be able to go to the broadcast and say good afternoon. Oops. There we go. Now they both got it. So you have the ability to turn that chat on and off. And a student could initiate a chat with the teacher as well. It doesn't have to come from the teacher first. So if they needed, had a question or needed help, they could reach out that way. Okay. Any questions so far? Holler. All right. So I'm going to drill down into John. Actually, sorry. I'm going to uncheck everybody here. So take note that when I click on John's, the little box here, I'll get a pop-up bar at the bottom. So I click on John, so I could open a new tab for John. I could lock John's device. I can unlock his device or exclude him from the session like we did for Carl, Denise, and Lynn. So I'm going to lock John's device. Say lock. Say look up. So he should have received the message on screen and it locked his device. So I can easily unlock his device now as well. And now John's back and can work again. So good way to keep your class, if you need their attention, you can just lock all their devices real quick. Okay. Another thing I can do is if I click on John, actually I think I have to drill into it. So I can take a screenshot if I wanted to, so I can just click the button here, takes a screenshot, and I'll show you where that shows up here in a second. Okay, so we're kind of rolling right along. Page 11 is how to unlock and lock the screen. We talked about excluding and including students. We did a quick chat with the student and the broadcast. So we're gonna end this session, and I'm going to show you what we can see here. So if I go back into, so I'm at my classrooms here, and if I click on the class, I can see all my prior sessions that I've been using. So it gives me the date and the time. So today's session, if I click on that, I kind of get a different view here where it gives me a timeline. So I can see that, let's dig into this a little bit so I can zoom in a little bit. And I can see that Brandon was on Google here at 2:04, and I can actually click on that and see what he was doing. So I can see at Google, he was looking at the cute puppies. So kind of a good way to go back and see what the student was doing previously. If I click on this one, he tried to get to a block page. So don't know what Brandon's doing. He's trying to get around our filtering software, it looked like there. Same thing for John. I can drill down into John's stuff here too, and he was just at Google. So kind of gives you the icons will update here. So if they were on a YouTube page, they would get the YouTube play button symbol kind of thing. This is also where I can see the screenshot we took of John. So here's John's screenshot, and I can download this to my MacBook if I so choose, or I can save it to Google Drive. So maybe you need it for evidence for the office or for mom and dad or something like that. So you can grab that and email it or whatever you want to do with it. Okay. It also keeps a command log of any tabs we opened or closed or screens we locked. It just kind of keeps track of everything there too. Okay. Student reports down in this section. Let's say let's pick my class. So my class is test. Let's pick Brandon. And let's generate the report. And we can see Brandon's top websites here. If he had any Google Docs open, it would list them here. And then his searches. We can also see that we opened a tab for Brandon and we closed 2 tabs for Brandon. So it kind of gives you a perspective of what happened. And then it has a detailed browsing history of everything he did in that class, so you can see everything. If you click on the links, it'll take you to that site if you're authorized to get there. So it probably won't take you into his actual Google Doc because he owns that and you don't. So hopefully that makes sense. So there's another piece here called scenes. And the way a scene works is it's an ability to limit what students can do for that session. So we're going to make a scene called Tony's test scene, and we're going to say we're going to put it in block mode, so it's only going to allow sites that I specifically enter. So one would be mail.google.com, so they can get the Gmail, but they have these custom lists already created over here. I could also choose G Suite here and add that. So I have G Suite and I have Gmail. So now once I restart this class, the only sites they're going to be able to get to are the Google sites. So let's test that out real quick. So let me make sure I don't have any other settings in here. I'm going to save that. I'm going to go into my class. So I'm back with Tony's test, and I'm going to edit the class. I'm going to add the scene here. So here's Tony's test scene. I think it saves automatically. Oh, update classroom. So now if we restart that class, so again I'm just going to leave it at 45 minutes. We'll start the class. So he was on his Fluffy Kitty site, but it just blocked it. Okay, John is at ABCYA. It just blocked that. Can you guys get to gmail.com? Yep, so they're able to get into their Gmail. And so really only the Google products is what they can get into right now. Could be good, could be bad, depending upon what you're trying to accomplish with your class. Let's go back into that scene and I'll show you some other options we can do there. Let me end this session first though. So I'm gonna end that class again. So I'll go back to my scene. I know I'm kind of flying around here, but I want to show you so you can also automatically open tabs for a class. So if I say, let's do Yahoo, let's do ESPN.com, and let's do Tesla again. So did not take it? Oh, there. So I have 3 tabs, but I still have these, so those tabs wouldn't open up because they're going to be filtered with this, these lists that I have here. So I'm going to remove those. I don't think update scene there. Now I'm going to start the class again. And we should see those tabs automatically open. So if we go into John here. So he may have had some other tabs already open and didn't close out of them, but we have our Yahoo, we have our ESPN, and we have our Tesla for sure. So if it's a new class, it should, where they haven't logged in yet, it should only allow those 3 tabs that work. Well, actually, they can open any other tabs they want, but those 3 tabs will automatically open. So, but something else cool you can do with a scene, let me show you, let me end this session again, is I can say, I'm going to let them go anywhere this time. I'm going to remove these tabs, but I'm going to make it so they can only open 1 tab. So they can't try to hide stuff from me anymore. Click when you walk around the corner, you know, they never do that, right? So let me start this session back up. I'm going to pick on Brandon here. So I'm going to close his other tabs if they're still open. Okay, Brandon, can you try to click on a tab? So you're not I'm assuming you can't open any additional tabs because I don't see anything going on. So
Correct. Every time I click that, it just automatically closes the tab instantly.
gotcha. So thank you. So that's another way you can limit student browsing and keep them focused on what they're supposed to be doing, and it's an easy way for you to kind of see what they're doing as well. Another option, I'm going to go back into the class here, is it has the ability to, I have to remember where they put it. Bear with me for a second. There's a way to limit the browsing to the specific subject area of the class. So English, math, art, those kinds of things. I don't remember where it went. Hang on, let me actually look at the manual. Hang on a second. I'm actually not seeing it in the manual. Maybe I know I stumbled across it yesterday, so maybe they don't have it documented yet. Let me just poke around for a second. And turn the scene off. Oh, off-task alerts. That's what it is. So I have to turn that on. If I drill into this, so here I can choose my subject area. So I know some of these say unavailable. I think they're working on developing some of the more specials kinds of things, but the core subject areas, if I chose math, and I can say how strict I want to be before I get notified as the teacher, because what will happen is I think it pops up with a dot or something that student is off task. So I'm going to leave it strict for the time being just because we're testing things. But if Brandon and John, if you would go to something other than math, let's see what we get. And again, it takes about 15 seconds for me to receive that notification. So I just got the alert there. It says Brandon has been off task for 16 seconds. So just kind of gives me a heads up. So then it highlights Brandon here as well. So now I can kind of drill into Brandon's session. I can send him a message, hey, let's get back on task, that kind of thing. So that is where the off task alert comes into play. Any questions so far? I think that's really it for the training. I know it's a lot. This is new for us as well in the technology department, so if you have a question, please don't be bashful to ask, because we'll figure it out together. So, any questions?
Anybody have any questions? So there's a couple things I want to add as we wind this down, but one of the things is that this is a kickoff session. This is not where we expect everybody to be fully proficient, ready to roll, full implementation kind of thing. It's going to take some time to kind of work with it a little bit and get to know how this tool works and how it works best for you in your classroom. But Tony just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that it was available and give them information. So it's not as though we're asking you starting tomorrow, this better be in full swing. You know, everybody's using it all the time, 100% of the time, creating tons of anxiety for people, because we certainly don't want to create that anxiety. In addition to that, one of the things I want to encourage is that this is an opportunity to also do some educating with students. As far as what I mean is, when you're using this, I don't want you to feel like you need to be a police officer. Okay, you don't need to be the person